Well, good morning. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning start to your weekend. Hopefully, you have some cool stuff planned. Matt Kammeyer here, broker of Five Star Real Estate and Property Management. Wanted to go over, actually got some substantial updates. Um, so stick with me if you want to understand everything that's going on. Just in summary, we had a CDC moratorium um, kicked back by the Supreme Court, and I'll discuss how that relates to us and a recent law I might have discussed in a prior video. Um, Talk about maintenance a little bit, COVID, some things we're doing around surveys and all of that, paying for repairs, um, and then also a report commissioned by the Board of Realtors here locally there's some headlines going around that are not accurate. I'm going to go into a little bit more depth of what's going on and what's actually cool in the report, which does substantiate some things. Um, so anyway, let's jump in. So I'm lucky or smart that I hire one of the best eviction attorneys in town, and they always provide us with the best updates as laws change, legal things change. But also, I sit on our National Association of Realtors National um, Government Affairs Committee, so I actually see a lot of the federal items related to real estate and property management, more specifically, um, when it hits the uh, Senate or congressional floor. We have an inside track to that since we have a lobbyist. So anyway, want to update you. And you know what? I'm just going to read this because it's not that long from our attorney. In regards to the CDC moratorium, there was one in place. It expired, although the month before it expired, the Supreme Court came back and said, you know what? We realize this should not have been in place, but there's only a month left, and we feel like it's okay to leave for a month, and it did expire. But then a new moratorium was set up, and a few of my colleagues in Georgia and Alabama actually sued and got the Supreme Court to say that, yeah, that's not legal. However, they did say if if the government wants this in place, Congress needs to pass an act, which I suspect they're going to do. But in the meanwhile, we can proceed. So, in a little bit of good news this week, the United States Supreme Court has stayed the federal CDC eviction moratorium. While the court's decision does not definitively strike down the law, it does essentially stay the moratorium and allow evictions to move forward. The court found that the CDC and President Biden overstepped their authority to regulate essentially local landlord and tenant matters. While lifting the CDC moratorium is certainly welcome, we here in Nevada are still under AB 486, which allows tenants to raise the defense that they've applied for rental assistance. The big rental assistance here is called CHAPS, the County Housing Assistance Program, which we've gotten some substantial checks from. I mean, I'm talking upwards of $20,000, so it is paying out. But we're also arguing with them because it's supposed to be an 18-month program, and they're trying to just pay a maximum of 12 months. So we're fighting that as well. Anyway, if a tenant proves to the court that he has requested such assistance, the court may stay the eviction until a decision on the CHAPS application is finalized. We have a problem with this because all they have to do is say, yep, Your Honor, I applied, and that's good enough for the courts typically. As compared to if we were having to file something, we'd have to have a huge burden of proof. Anyway, what this means is that landlords who have not received any rental assistance CHAPS funding in the last 60 days are now free to post eviction-related notices and file evictions regardless of whether they have received a CDC declaration. If the tenant requests a hearing and states that he has applied for rental assistance, the court will then decide whether to stay the proceeding or allow it to move forward. We have judges here that argue with each other as far as how to handle this stuff, so unfortunately it depends on what court we're sitting in as to how some of this goes. Many landlords have previous eviction actions and orders stayed until the pursuant to the CDC moratorium. We are waiting for word from various courts as they will how they will handle these matters, and we'll update you once we know more. Just a heads up, we're still doing evictions. We just evicted somebody a few days ago. and I'm not saying that like proudly, but I'm saying that in, we don't have to be fearful that things can't happen. So um, we're navigating this the absolute best we can. We have the right people that we hire to do this, so um, we've got your back. So anyway, that's an update on the CDC and AB 46. Happy to discuss that more with you guys. Anybody that has questions, even if it's not somebody that's one of our clients, education I think is key. So I'm happy to share. Or you can share this video, I guess. Um, so next item, I guess some owners didn't realize some additional maintenance that we do to make sure the property is preserved and maintained between residents. So, when one tenant moves out and before another one moves in, um, you know, I own a bunch of properties myself. So I like to think of, what would I appreciate and then, what would you appreciate? So, doing things like obviously we have to change the locks, between residents. We can't have other people being able to go back in. Something we do to help mitigate cost is we use the QuickSet smart key locks. So if you've already got those on your house, awesome. Because when we go to rekey the property, it's just a fraction of the cost just for that labor as compared to hiring a locksmith for 120 or $150. We can do it for 30 bucks or whatever it is. So that's awesome. Smoke detectors, that's a life safety issue. We like to make sure that they are not expired. Obviously the residents responsible for the batteries, so if there's batteries, that's a charge on them. But if the smoke detectors are expired, and usually you can tell when they start to turn yellow, but we look at the dates anyway just to be safe. Garage doors, properties that have garages, we lube the garage doors, make sure that's operating properly. And we also drain and fill the water heater. As you probably know or have heard, Las Vegas has very hard water, lots of minerals, things like that. So getting the sediment and everything out of the bottom of the water heater helps add years to the life of the water heater. So that's important stuff to us. COVID. So, I've talked to a couple of firms and I've seen it as well. Um, you know, I, I don't care about being political. You believe what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe, and that's cool. I'm not here to share my opinion. What I do want to tell you is, been around a few groups where you know, the latest COVID Delta variant has run through offices, and the people that were vaccinated were not affected, and those that were not vaccinated did get it, and had symptoms. Luckily, I think a lot of people I know have not been hit hard with it. It's more like a flu or allergies or something like that. But there is direct relation from what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing companies completely shut down. I have a friend that has an office in Reno, and their entire company is shut down right now, unfortunately, and I think for like 2 weeks. So I don't know if you can imagine, on top of having labor shortages and price increases with inflation and all of that, and now your office is shut down for a couple weeks. I can't imagine what that does to their customers. Everything. Anyway, just food for thought. Real world talk here. I found out yesterday, Friday, that we were nominated for Best of Las Vegas. So the company's gonna give us a little link that we can share, which is pretty cool. And I'm gonna send that out to everybody. I'm gonna ask that you vote for us. I would really appreciate that. That would be nice to win an award like that. We really try hard here. My entire team is focused on service, customer service, living by our core values, really. Like, we created, I think, some amazing core values almost a year ago. And actually, let me read those to you. So we call them the 5 Ps. People as a priority, pride in work, prepared, problem solvers, and premium communicators. And not only do I want you to know that we have those, that's nice, a picture on the wall. No, I like to reward for this type of behavior. I like to, have our team live by this kind of stuff, because this is something we've all agreed to. This is what we think is best for our company, for our customers, and everybody. So, and those are also kind of the best features of our team. So we want to run by that, and we want to take it a step further. So some of you might have seen, if you've communicated with us more often lately, is there's a little signature line in our email that all my team has that says, hey, if you have any problems, here's my, please reach out to a broker at 5 Star PM. That's public facing. Obviously, I think all of you have my email address, my personal email address, and you're welcome to reach out to me anytime. But that's public facing as well. So even people that are just applicants, or maybe residents or vendors or anybody, I want to know if there's a problem. I want to know if people are not operating per our core values. So this customer service thing is important to me. So if you ever see something that doesn't seem in line, please let me know. I actually appreciate it. I don't look at a complaint as a problem or whining. I look at it as an opportunity. So if we can improve our systems or our people, I want to know about it. And I want to say thank you in advance for doing that. We do have surveys going out to our residents. Some of you may already know this. We have them go out after every maintenance repair, when people are moving in, when they're moving out. We want to know how things are going, how their experience is, and again, where there are places that we can improve. I feel bad we don't have that set up for our owners, so I'm going to get something set up so that you have a feedback loop as well. So you may see that now and then. I surely don't want to bombard you guys with information. Maybe once or twice a year we could get a little feedback from you. So I'm busy too. I get it. Like who needs one more survey? I think I get 2 or 3 a day. Anyway, repairs. So I want to say thank you. I've noticed that many of you have been paying for your repairs much more quickly lately. The reason I'm saying thank you is that gets our vendors paid much more quickly. And the reason that's important to me is the faster we pay them, the less they have to carry money, less they have to have on their lines of credit. Because if, let's say we have $1,000 repair, well, imagine they have 20 of those outstanding. Unless they have an extra 20 grand sitting there, they have to go hit their line of credit. So the reason that's important to me is when I call them, like this week, we had an excessive heat warning, Thursday and Friday. Our residents got attention, whereas other companies didn't. We needed bids on a property where, we took it over from another property and really needed to get some bids in so we could make some decisions with the owner on what types of repairs we were going to do to bring the property up to a quality state. And even though these companies are slammed, they got out there the next day. 2 of them got out there the next day. And that's because we really try to do everything we can to help them be successful in their business, which in turn helps us be successful in ours. So those things are important, and I want to thank you and encourage you. When you find out you're approving a work order, please go ahead and make that contribution online. It helps all of us. If you make that, then the next person is able to get their property serviced a little bit quicker too, which could also save them money. If an AC's out and we need to get it serviced to comply with habitability laws, that just helps everybody. So definitely appreciate that. In addition, how I was talking earlier about feedback, I also want to have conversations. So I'm going to reach out to a few people a week, not a lot, but just I want to start having conversations with you because we get calls now and then and people just have some misinformation, and I'd much rather be able to share quality, God's honest truth with you. People call a lot obviously about real estate market, property management market, what things look like, and instead of just reading blips and headlines or hearing what the neighbor said, I'd much rather give you quality information. So I'll reach out. If you don't want to talk, I guess just decline my call. Let's see. Okay, one more page. So last item is, excuse me. There was a report published this week. It was commissioned by our local board of realtors about property management, which is a little bit outside of their norm, but that's fine. Myself and a number of other property managers participated in it. We provided anonymous information, so there were no addresses, names, anything like that. It was just data. And what was troubling was the headline came out that said 56% of mom and pop landlords have delinquent tenants, which, I'm calling my colleagues like, what are you guys doing? What's going on? Our numbers aren't even a fraction of that. What in the world? Okay. So we all determined that there's some misinformation out there. So we pulled the actual report. It was put together by a group called RCG. They're a popular economics group here. They do a lot of stuff, and they're respected. That's fine. Um, but just like anything with statistics, people can take your data and do things with them. So anyway, it's a good headline, I guess. But they took data, and I'm sorry, I'm glancing down at my notes because there's just a lot of numbers. So they took information from March 2020 to February 2021. Something to keep in mind is that rental assistance really was not rolling out much until towards the end of that, and even beyond that. When I start talking about us getting bigger checks, it probably wasn't even until 3 months ago that we started getting that stuff. So, something to note. But, in regards to this, in the study, they had 22 self-managed landlords and 118 property managers. The 22 self-managed had 1,144 units. The 118 property managers had 21,000 units. It was broken out between small mom and pop and property managers, and it was broken out by units: 1 to 3 units, 4 to 10 units, 11 to 31, 31 to 100, 101 and larger units owned or managed. Of the landlords that participated, they took the group of 1 to 3 unit small mom and pops, which was 6 units of, what do we say, 22,000? 6 units. And of them, they had the 56% delinquency rate. And that's where my problem is with this headline. And that's probably with most headlines that you see out there. But, they took just a tiny mini fraction. When you looked at the other data, though, the landlords with over 100 units, they had a 9.7% delinquency rate. When you looked at property managers, professionals, over 100 units, they were at 8.5% delinquency rate. And I know we're even below that, so that actually makes me pretty happy. So, that shows some things. Obviously professionals screen better. We navigate the legislative issues, get rental assistance, and we're educated how to do this faster. And frankly, we have a team to help us do it. So, the other part of this discussion is, the moratorium was in place to help tenants. Part of the data in this report was that as of March, the number of planned evictions was at 5.3%, which is quite low. At the end of that moratorium period, the number of planned evictions was 3.3%. So this shows that landlords are not these greedy, ice cold folks that just don't care about anybody. It shows that they're working with the assistance programs, they're working with their residents. It's just, some of the narratives out there are not accurate. Something else that I personally noticed and felt and appreciated was many of you reached out when all of this started and offered to help your residents. People you've never met, probably never had a conversation with, and you're like, hey, I'll waive the next 50% of the rent for the next few months, or things like that. I just that level of care and respect just furthers that landlords are not all these greedy slumlords that don't care about people. So to me, that just kind of solidifies that maybe that moratorium was not necessary, and the things and damage that it caused, because there were a couple of our owners that and luckily it was only a couple, but people took advantage of this, and then they trashed the place, and it was just disgusting to see people do that, as compared to the hundreds of other people that, even though they lost their job, they still paid their rent on time. They worked with us to apply for the CHAPS, the assistance programs, and did the right thing, and we did the right thing with them too. So again, it's just such a tiny percent of the bad that gets the attention. So anyway, I don't want to hold you up any longer on a Saturday morning. I am always here to help answer your questions. Feel free to share this video if you like. Be well.